episode of the Talk Show Pod, where we talk about anything and everything. And today we have a special guest, Mr. Owen.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
How are you feeling?
Ready to talk about anything and everything.
Excited?
No,
once this podcast gets more views, and maybe then I'll get a little bit more excited.
Maybe the second time you come in.
Yeah.
We'll have like 1 million followers the next time you come in, for sure.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so today our episode is going to be marketing. It's all about going to be marketing and all the strategies involved in different campaigns, movies, billboards, online ads, etc. Yeah, let's get to it. So this is Drake related. It's a new website for Drake, and he puts in different merchandise, and it's completely interactive. The whole website.
Yeah, you said it's his mansion. Oh, there's some clipping in and out over here.
Yeah, it's this whole mansion. You can just go walk out of the mansion. Click it here, I guess.
Oh, there you go. You can enter to the front.
Yes.
It was making me want to not buy anything because his mansion is you're just looking and you want to support his. I guess that takes you back.
So how do you see the product stuff?
So you can go into his house. So that was the studio.
Okay.
You can enter the studio.
Okay, let's go.
And that's inside the studio. And you can click on any items that's lying around.
Oh.
And you can easily add it to the cart. For example,
look at that one's sold out.
It's already sold out.
Everything on here is sold out.
I'm telling you, dude, this is becoming very.
You can buy this tiki head, and that would be sold out.
Oh, now you have collection of.
That's how he's doing that thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's pretty neat. It's,
and you can even see have a tour and some sign up for newsletters and everything.
I wonder how this optimizes on your phone.
It's true. Let's you know what? How about we try it? Let's see how it looks on the phone.
Yeah, just
Drake related.
I feel I wonder what the development was to go into this as well.
They did a partnership with Shopify.
Yeah.
Shopify
that's why there was that Shopify thing in the first.
Shopify recently launched Shopify Collective.
Yeah. And
Shopify Collective is where third-party vendors connect with retailers, and you collect them together and make a e-commerce platform. That's the whole concept of Shopify. But Shopify Collective takes it one step further, where the interaction is seamless. You can legit invite do a friend request to one of the vendors. You give a friend request to one of the vendors, they accept your friend request, and they send out products. That's that easy.
Interesting.
So it's like a social media kind of thing.
I mean,
they're bringing vendors together in a social media.
Well, I mean, it's now it's the Sims. They pretty much made the Sims, but for shopping.
Yeah, true. And just imagine for Drake related, it's so much easier for him because he does not have to worry about all the operation end of his store. He can all just concentrate on the branding and marketing.
Well, I mean, that's always what I think he's been good at. It's just branding and creating his own image, personifying his image in different merchandise. So I think that's pretty cool. I wonder the next step would be in terms of turning this into a VR or
True.
You can literally just maybe imagine if it's you put on the VR thing, you're walking around and you can actually see.
Oh, you got an avatar, and you're putting
on.
Yeah, you're buying the clothes and putting them on right away. I mean
I think that's very possible. The new Apple thing, I saw the headset that they put out. I saw a video of capabilities that's actually possible. They could actually do it.
Yeah. With Facebook and Apple going through that thing, I think it's pretty doable. But Drake related is pretty cool because the good thing about Drake is he's not just putting items of famous shops or famous vendors. Mm-hmm. He's partnering with very small shops, small vendors, and they get an exposure to the market through Drake.
Yeah.
And he gets all this cool and fancy items that he can sell in his Drake related merchandise.
Yeah, I wonder what his mark. I imagine his markups are pretty.
Look, whatever you're touching is sold out.
Yeah,
that's the thing. So that's another thing. Everything's sold out.
But they probably do that kind of like what Supreme does, where it's a limited supply. They definitely could make more of this. But that's part of the appeal. Is you got to go to the store, you got to stay updated to kind of get the merchandise when it's available. It makes people want it more. Even though in reality, like, no offense to Drake, but honestly, this stuff looks pretty basic, and
I mean, I think the technical team had a real difficulty to do this.
I meant like
This
the website. I meant like
would have
the
been
merchandise they're selling is pretty standard.
I think it's not none of this merchandise is exclusive to Drake's brand. It's all a third party brand.
I haven't seen anything that's like for the Drake's brand.
Oh,
I've been looking for like.
Come on, Drake. He's got his own house. He doesn't even have his own brand.
He didn't put anything in here. Oh, this thing, it's not.
But mind that this is just 5 to 6 months old. So I'm pretty sure in the coming years, or at least in the coming months, this is going to be massively updated. And one of the criticisms people had for this website was it's too techy. People will not even consider this as a shopping website.
No, another thing is if you look at Drake's followers, I think it's fine for them. You're not getting like an 80-year-old walking in trying to buy something from here. Like, tech would have been a problem if his, base was like 80-year-olds. Like, if you think about the following that he has, most of them will be comfortable with this website. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think like normally if you're going to push the needle, especially in marketing, you're going to get some level of criticism. But like, I think this is actually kind of a really cool idea. And I don't tend to say that for marketing because I tend to be a hater of a lot of concepts. But I think this is like a really cool idea to differentiate what a website is, because typically just having a website is not going to make things anything like, you're not going to stand yourself apart from other people. Whereas this is clearly different from other, and the experience is going to be a lot different. And the experience is kind of more fun, I think, in terms of just like being able to walk around his house and be like, dude, Drake's actually super messy. Like, look at all this stuff.
And this also brings out nostalgia because everybody talks about Drake's mansion every time.
Yeah, and then it's like The Sims. It's kind of like that same sort of.
You get an exclusive access to Drake's mansion.
Yeah.
And also another thing I would say, remember like earlier we were talking about like how effective a marketing tactic is. You could get actual numbers from here. How many people clicked on this specific shirt? How many people actually bought it? It's much easier than actually doing like old school stuff, like putting on a billboard, okay, of this specific design, and then this many got sold. You can't actually put numbers to it, but this is like easy to measure as well. Like, I think that's very helpful as well.
If you were to give this a grade,
how
would you grade the website?
In terms of, if I'm just yes, let's do the ratings.
Yeah.
And let's do a rating for the website. For me, it's a solid 6.
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Yeah,
wow, 6 out of 10. Okay.
Because if I'm considering all the right points about website, is it user friendly? Is it mobile friendly? Is it easy to use? Is it pointing people towards buying stuff? Is it pointing people towards making a purchase? Is it making people's purchase experience easy? So if I consider all of that, that's why I'm deducting a score. But if I'm talking about creativity, if I'm talking about marketing, if I'm talking about nostalgia into a website, pushing the bars of a website, I think that's why it's solid 6. And the other stuff, I think eventually down the line, I think he'll even fix those stuff and push people to actually purchase a lot more. But that's why I gave a 6. What about you?
Want to go?
I'll go. So not having a full marketing background, looking at the website, it looks really cool to me. I like it. But that being said, for me, spending $100 on sweatpants, it's too much. Even if I click it, I really love it. It's great. Drake follower, blah blah blah, everything. I wouldn't spend $100 on sweatpants. So unless there's like a story to it, all I see is like it's this fabric, that fabric. I'd say overall the whole marketing thing, I'll still say it's a 7 or 8 in my books.
Interesting.
What about you, man?
Like I said, I'm a big hater of marketing. Ignoring the product offering, which, I think the products themselves, like I mentioned, are kind of, basic. They're not really anything special. I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. Like, I think that this is a very innovative way to present a website. It ticks a lot of things that are really popular now. So like nostalgia, I feel you're going to Drake's house, you're walking kind of like in a Sims environment, like a video game, like kind of an older video game. And the interaction level is higher. I think that they're also leveraging Drake's brand really well. And this kind of aligns well with how he does. And I think honestly, as much as I'm not like the biggest Drake fan, I think he does a fantastic job marketing, or whoever his marketing team is. Like that's kind of his like bread and butter, is really just presenting himself.
Or staying related, kind of.
Yeah, and so like I think they actually nailed this one. Like I would be super thrilled to see this idea incorporated to other websites too. And I think it changes the fundamental experience of what a website is. And I'm super glad you brought this up too, because like I didn't know before this podcast. So I think this is really cool. Yeah, in terms of the products though themselves, like a 1 out of 10. But in terms of the layout and the delivery of that, yeah, 10 out of 10. I think that was amazing.
Nice. Now let's move on to the next one.
Let's take a look at what the next one you have.
So I've surfed through YouTube a little bit and saw some innovative advertisements.
Yeah, let's see.
One of them was Apple's one, because I'm a pretty big fan of Apple's marketing. Look at this. It's just a basic. It's
911, what's your emergency? Hi, I was in the car. My car slipped. There's water getting the car, and I can't get out. What is your emergency?
I came on paddleboarding and a hard wind pushed me off the scene.
Okay, do not hang up.
911, what's your emergency? I'm here at the farm. I broke my leg. Straight down 21 feet. I sure need help quick.
Are you by yourself? Yes. Have you tried to get out? Have you tried to bust the window or something?
I'm pretty far out in the ocean. I can't just with my cell phone. I'm talking on my Apple Watch.
Try to keep talking to me. Okay.
I can't fight the wind anymore.
It's getting deeper. It's getting to my neck.
Please hurry. I'm hurting real bad.
You're gonna seek help, okay?
I see them.
You're opening the door.
Hold on. Are you in an air pocket?
I'm just at the driver's seat.
Okay, so your head is above water?
Yes, sir.
That's it. That's simple. But they showed everything that what Apple Watch is offering. Honestly.
Well, I mean, they didn't show everything that it offered.
I mean,
they
chose a feature. Yeah.
They chose a specific feature for the Apple Watch, and I think that they, I've actually seen this ad before.
We did.
Yeah. So when I saw it, actually, I think saw it. My mom saw it too, and she's like, "Wow, I should really get an Apple Watch just in case." And to be honest, like I think that like it's sort of like it's definitely an emotional based advertisement.
100%.
And like the likelihood of you being in any of those situations, I mean, like in many of the situations, your Apple Watch might not even like work if you're like not in cell phone reception, and maybe you're like actually in the water already. Like you're not able to do that, but like it makes you think about like what if, and makes you like kind of overvalue the likelihood of some like the value of that sort of feature.
And the good thing about Apple Watch is you don't actually need a network to call 911 now. You can do like an
even
emergency.
with the phones nowadays.
If you don't have network and you like do like an emergency, I don't know what technology they're using currently, but you can like dial up like an emergency dial on 911, and whatever the network situation is, you'll have a clear shot.
I wonder about that though. I mean, like there's probably
They have like
some you probably need to have some degree of connectivity.
Maybe
they have some kind of like satellite thing that pops up.
It's like an SOS, it's like an SOS service.
Yeah, it'll go on to the nearest network if there's a nearby network available. Which makes sense.
So it's like an SOS service for 911, but it's still pretty cool that they. Apart from the feature and stuff, everything, just to have the like what they spent on this $10.
Video
like
on the advertisement.
That's a good, yeah.
Like in terms of production.
Yeah, get some drone shots, get some text.
No drone shot.
I think
they
like
just
a blur
purchased
background.
stock footage from online, like some drone stock footage from worth of $10. Worth of $10 and some text, and the production is done.
I'll tell you what I think about this strategy. It's like to me, it feels like how you sell insurance. So for my case, it's actually this is like a perfect tactic to sell insurance. You just like overvalue the things that you think might happen. So like when you're selling insurance, it'd be like, oh, you're walking by the street, this can happen, that can happen, blah blah blah. It's almost like this the ad. I think it's targeting a specific kind of people, I would say, and like a lot of people who might be too concerned, I would say, with like, this might happen, that might happen, or somebody else is buying that for other stuff. I don't know how much this ad was effective, but to me, I would think For me, I think it might not have been the best of that for me.
How effective do you think this ad is?
I think this is actually good, and well, I guess like I'll wait to like more definitively talk about that in the ratings. But like, I think that what you mentioned in terms of like targeting specific people, I think they actually did a pretty good job like providing different situations for the where it can be applicable. And I think the one thing that's really cool with it too is like only at the end do they even mention who it's like the company and the product. They don't even show the product at any point. And I think that's, in favor to Apple that they don't even need to like, people know what an Apple Watch is. And I mean, I'm sure that they're choosing the medians by which they're like the right, marketing networks and channels to put it through to make sure that people that they present it to already know what the Apple Watch is. So like, I think that provides more impactfulness. And, a lot of like places like car commercials and stuff will like show people driving the car and all the features and what it's like. But like, they just honed in on one specific feature and don't even show the product. And I think that itself is kind of impactful because it brings you into the story a lot more. And you can kind of get like some chills watching it a little bit. Yeah. So I think it's good.
Okay, let's do the rating now. I rate this. I'm a conservative rater, but I'll put solid 9 on this.
Solid 9?
Yes.
There you go.
Because I'll give just 2 reasons. One is it focuses on a super niche feature of Apple Watch, and it pushes people to actually buy it. That's why it's a solid 9 for me.
Well, what's holding it back from a 10?
Maybe if a certain person does not know what an Apple Watch is, and if a certain person doesn't know what this ad is about, they might just skip it and like, I don't know what's happening, and it's like, okay. So that's why I'm just taking on 1. But I feel like, as you mentioned, it's Apple has positioned themselves in a way that almost like everybody knows about it. So they have that advantage. But if I'm talking just strategically on marketing terms, like marketing strategy, marketing all the theories and everything, I'll take that one away where people might not know about it.
It's fair.
Is there anything unique about Apple Watch itself versus all the other smartwatches in the market that, if you're in the middle of the ocean, only Apple Watch is going to work. The rest of the watches are not going to work. Is there anything unique like that?
I think some watches actually, I don't think there's actually much uniqueness to that. I think some watches, I had like a watch that if I were like using the activity and I stopped moving, it would like send a countdown to an emergency call. Or it would send, I didn't have a mic in it, so it would send the emergency to someone else to let me know that I'm not in a good situation. So in terms of the function, I don't know how unique it is to the Apple Watch.
Yeah, because I was thinking maybe they could have put that in while you were saying this thing. Maybe they could have said, oh, Apple Watch has this specific feature. Because like if somebody doesn't really know what it means, what Apple Watch is specifically doing to help a person call 911 from the middle of the ocean kind of thing, if they can't actually relate to that or not understand that part of the thing, then the marketing might be not that effective.
Yeah, that's why I took that 1. But what's your rating?
I would say for me, you're skipping me though. I would say a 6 or 7 for me.
6 or 7, okay. I'm gonna give this again. I almost want to give it a 10 out of 10. I don't even like most ads, but I think that Apple is very good at understanding people just in general. I bought an iPhone because I got like a used iPhone, and I realized that like just tapping the screen feels much nicer than other phones. So they get like those little tiny details right. The one thing I don't think in terms of impactfulness, I think this pushes the brand forward in terms of it, but I don't know how well it's going to actually motivate people to actually go and execute the sale of it, because it's a very emotional thing. But once if you're going to maybe a store, and once you go to the store, then you get to the nuts and bolts about being evaluate the price and the functionalities, and you learn more. This is a really great way to kind of showcase the Apple's brand, the simplicity behind it, really understanding how to get to people's emotions. But in terms of like the ability to translate that into sales, I'm not entirely sure. So that's why I'm not going to give it. I'll give it like an 8 out of 10 because of that. But I love it as a standalone ad. I think it's amazing. It just in terms of it and through the entire marketing process, it might fall short. But Apple, please send us some data on that to prove us wrong, or prove me wrong.
Let's move on. Hey, you know what? Let's talk with me. I know you wanted to talk about Barbie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about it, but everyone's talking about it, so I feel compelled to bring it up and just draw a line in the sand on how I feel about it, because there is a lot of love for the Barbie movie,
and Barbie's marketing team, oh my god, they created this hype for Barbie just through, I wouldn't say just through marketing, but marketing had a lot of
I mean, the budget for the marketing for the Barbie movie was more than the production.
Yes.
So I mean, they kind of had a leg up already, and that's something I think I want to why I wanted to talk about it. We can pull up some examples on your laptop, but I'll let you do that. But what I really think about it is most of what I've read is people loved the advertising for it, and honestly, I don't think I'm the right target demographic for Barbie. But I think that Barbie did a good job, but I also think that people are maybe putting too much emphasis on the marketing team's capabilities. Whereas they had so much going for it. The Barbie movie had everything in its favor.
It had arsenal, right?
Yeah, it had a great cast. It had a great director. It had the whole existence of the brand that's already been around. If this was called Jennifer, and it was a movie, the same plot, the same director, the same actors, it would not get as much hype. It's got the brand, and they could leverage the existing brand that's been around for so long and so iconic to be able to go to marketing. And then also, like I mentioned, they had $150 million to market it, which is for $150 million, you can do a hell of a lot of marketing. It's not like they bootstrapped it for nothing. It's they went out and they could do anything, and they did everything. And it totally worked to some degree, but are you giving enough? Are you giving too much credit to the Barbie marketing team? Is what
that's the question we can have on the discussion.
I have a question about that though. So I haven't watched the Barbie movie. I did notice the marketing because
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. You walk in the shopping mall, literally every single store is filled with pink. It's the most amount of pink I've seen for a while. So it's everywhere. People are obsessed, and if I go to the Cineplex to watch something else now, I always see there's people walking around with those full pink.
Yeah.
So they created kind of a cult. Yeah, it's like a cult. So I'm seeing that. Now another thing is there's can part to it too. Barbie and Ken. Did they market the Ken part? They didn't put that much focus into that though.
It's kind of true, but then again, when you actually see the movie, Ken got a lot of time on the movie.
Have you seen the movie?
Yeah, I have seen the movie.
I haven't.
Did you like it?
No,
I really. Then I'll give a take on what the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, the movie is. I went on having an assumption that the movie is gonna be like any Disney movie. A Barbie comes out of the Barbie life and comes into the real world, and something happens, and she takes on all the challenges and wins, and that's it. It's gonna be something like that. But it's completely the opposite. It's a completely unique storyline where they kind of challenged all the small things of society, not only just on the female side, but also on the male side. They gave good enough time on Ken's, on for example, just to let you know, all the male in Barbie movie are Ken.
Yeah.
No
spoilers.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
Oh, sorry, no spoiler alert. No spoiler alert. What?
I just put spoiler alert.
I think that's kind of ironic though, because the Barbie brand for the longest time was known for playing into stereotypes really well.
Exactly, and that's the whole point. The movie touched on all the stereotypes and reversed it, and tried to give a positive message to the society. But I think sometimes they did try too much.
Yeah.
But it was almost like a good 7.5 story.
Yeah. What would you rate the movie overall then?
7.5 for me.
So it's a solid movie.
Yeah. I had a good laugh. The storyline was unique. I loved watching the cast, and their acting was really good. The direction was good. I think the story could have been a bit more organized, but other than that, I like the movie.
Oh, that's good. How's the cast? Is there like enough diversity and stuff?
I mean, you think that it will not have, but it's like the most diverse cast overall. Not the main leads. I wouldn't say the main leads had a lot of diversity, but the overall cast had like a huge diversity among them.
Now, I know you're totally not the target group for this at all, but
Not
like,
at all.
looking at all the marketing they're doing, like all the posters, all of the collaborations, with the Gap and all of these other brands, do you find that the movie lived up to your expectations? I mean, I guess your expectations in terms of story were maybe kind of low, I guess. But in terms of like your expectations overall for entertainment, do you feel like it lived up to it? It sort of just maybe felt a little bit kind of overhyped, or
so since I was not the greatest the target market for them, so my expectation going into the movie was very low. So when that changed, so that gave me like a good positive experience. But when I talk about the full entertainment package, the answer is no. It wasn't. The ending section was too boring. It was just they stretched it a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you don't have like a good ending experience, the overall movie can like fall off. But still, I wouldn't say it's a bad movie. I'll give it a good rating and stuff. But the overall experience in terms of entertainment wasn't the best.
Now, in terms of, you're not the target demographic, but you went to go see the movie, so why did you go see it?
Well, I got
This
sucked
is how
in.
we got all.
I got sucked in, man. I got sucked in to the marketing. Like, it's everywhere. Like, you cannot avoid it. You cannot avoid the hype. You cannot. You cannot take your eyes away from social media for all the hype. You can take if even if you go past like the Cineplex, everybody's coming out with pink dress, and like you don't even have to be in Cineplex. You can just be in the subway. You can just be in the roads and see like a bunch of group going have like the whole pink theme on, and like I all know that they're gonna go watch the movie. So,
but is that the reason why you walked in? You're just seeing pink everywhere, and that's why you're like, okay, let me go watch the Barbie movie.
It's the smallest of details.
Yeah,
that like the cast had an influence, the marketing had an influence, the hype had an influence. But when I combine all those things together, that I think that kind of pushed me towards it.
Okay, so we talked a bit about Barbie, about Drake's house, and other things, but I'm a hater of ads, so I need to show more things that I hate about marketing. The first thing is McDonald's coffee. So I don't know, I get some people in America might know this, but the McCafe, it markets itself as being a good feeling kind of coffee, which I think is problematic for any sort of coffee to do that typically. So in Canada, we have 100% ethical coffee as it's marketed. And Tim Hortons does that too,
Yeah.
But did you know in the States that they actually market it more about 100% sustainable and not 100% ethical? And the reason for that is in Canada, our competition laws stipulate what you're able to say about a sustainability. And they actually say that because it's so hard to verify and like claim sustainability things, that you're not really allowed to say anything is like 100% sustainable. And so instead they cut around that and say it's 100% ethical, which I have a really big problem with, because like what ethical framework are they using? Like, how do you determine whether or not something is 100% ethical? Like, what is the benchmark for that? And I think that really grinds my gears. I'm not sure if you guys ever think about that.
Now, when you mention it, it's true. Like, how can you be 100% ethical if what is the coffee manufacturing process 100% ethical? The cups you're using is 100% ethical. Is the overall packaging 100% ethical, or is the whole process involved?
For me, I think another thing is really, especially for these big corporations like this, Tim Hortons, McDonald's, it's really hard to make sure that your supply chain is not contaminated.
Exactly.
It's impossible. It's impossible. If you really dive down, you get an auditor in there and be like, find me something that's wrong with that corporation, especially for that 100% ethical thing. I can guarantee you they can find something. It's really hard because like they're gonna cut costs. Like they're gonna try to, whenever they try to cut costs, there's definitely something's happening. 100% ethical is tough.
And so I think the funny thing too is like the one who's developing and monitoring the supply chain is McDonald's themselves. And like it's great on them that they're even taking the initiative to do that. And I think it's it's a trend in the right direction. But like like you said, there's for sure going to be hiccups along the way. And like I'm just like, even if it was perfect, like what is 100% ethical even mean?
They judge themselves like, oh yeah, we tick all the box.
Yeah, like what is to be 100% ethical? Like what is, if you're paying everyone fairly? I guess that's like one aspect of it, but then like there's different ways you can look at ethics, and I think that that's sort of the
funny question is, if they're now 100% ethical, were they not before? So so isn't that weird? Like if you're coming out fresh and saying you're 100% ethical, so what were you before? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's
unethical.
Yeah, it's true.
And the same thing about ESG. So the whole ESG concept, like that they talk about all the time. It's really hard to measure it. Like, how do you measure it? Like, you'll see sometimes some companies will be say fully ESG compliant, and some other places they will market it in a different way, like ESG in certain products, ESG in this. Like, it boils down to what you think is compliant, what you think is ESG.
Yeah. So I mean, like that. Those are things that like grind me gear. And so like I'm a fan. I don't like to ever say like definitive statements like that. I don't really like to ever say 100% or perfect, because in reality, like that never exists. And so that drives me crazy if anyone says 100% anything. And so the states they promote, they say their coffee is 100% sustainable, which in Canada, we recognize that that is impossible for you to say. And so instead of doing that, they say 100% ethical, which we don't have any policies on, because the idea of ethics is such like a broad, so it's so broad and vague that it's like you can get away with it. It's like, might as well just say like it's 100%
coffee.
Like coffee, yeah. Actually, that also drives me crazy. I was at a restaurant and they said this has 100% chocolate, and I'm like, but chocolate is just like a concoction of different things. Like it's got,
where's the water coming from?
Yeah, it's cacao nibs and cacao butter and sugar, and like those are, you add all those together in different ways to make chocolate. That's like saying like 100% cake. It's like
100% clove.
Yeah. So like that stuff drives me absolutely crazy, and so.
And it's funny thing, because since I've been working in marketing for a long time, and there are other it can get people frustrated, and they can come at you guys and sue or something, but they have all those clauses written in the back, and that will save their ass, and it won't create any issue. Like if you go up to McDonald's and tell them like proof, give me some proof that why are you stating this is 100% ethical, they'll give you like throw at 100 documents which is legalized, and then it's a bunch of bullshit, but it's all legal. Yeah.
They find a lot of loopholes. I'll tell you.
Exactly.
I'll tell you a really easy example. You might find this interesting. So ExxonMobil, the oil company, oil and gas. You would think environmentally their rating is going to be really shitty. So I recently looked into their rating. So ESG wise, they're rated pretty high. The reason behind it is ESG accounting. So essentially what they do is this: regardless of how much combustion fuel is getting used, how much it's harming the environment, they go in to this huge land and just plant different trees. And then you write off the entire life of the tree. Let's say the lifespan of 25 years. They're like tiny trees. You write off 25 years in accounting, and it's kind of like, plus minusing this thing, so your environmental effects is zero. So you can find a lot of loophole. And then you can market yourself in an environment, 98%.
Yeah, I think like Amazon does the same. Like they claim to be, or they're going to be, like net zero. But the thing is that they don't actually account for any returns. Mm-hmm. And so like a lot of those returns actually just end up in the landfill, because it's cheaper to just throw things away than to like repackage it and then ship it and sell it again. And so, and it also requires transportation and a lot of emissions for that. And so like they just say like, it's not part of our core emissions.
Sell it at pallets and then
and so like it's not, they just ignore that aspect, and a lot of people typically don't really think about the returns aspect of it, so they don't really ask any questions. But like, that affects their claims, and I think a lot of like you said, a lot of their claims are just kind of bullshit, anyways.
Yeah.
And the McDonald's one is just like it's top tier bullshit for me. It's it's always in your face too when you're ordering. It's like you want to make me feel good about like some stupid vague term. It just feels silly, and at the end of the day, like the problem is like people don't really care, and so like I don't actually think that if they took it 100% ethical away, I don't think anyone would ever like think different. I don't think McDonald's would actually see it.
And also those campaigns like like you guys might have a different opinion about this, but like sometimes like the Mac Happy Day, then like other companies would do like you buy our product, we'll give $1 to this, and then I look into it. I saw recently something was done by TELUS, I think, and then they advertised something about we gave back like $63,000 back to our community. Then I wondered, like it was like kind of like a $1 to dollar matching, and they gave away $63,000. And look into it, I'm like the number is so small.
The profit?
To the revenue that you're making or the profit. It's like even the Mac Happy Day, if you see the numbers, you'd be surprised how small they are.
Oh, yeah. What bothers me too is like the Ronald McDonald House, it's funded by like the 10 cents for the Happy Meals. But I think that really makes up a small portion of their actual budgets. Like they actually get funding from like public sources. And so like that's like a kind of a branding almost. It's like almost like purchasing putting your name on like a stadium for like a certain amount of money. Like sure it helps, but like should your brand actually be associated with that? Like no, I don't think. I think it's wrong to do that, but like
that's free money because you can write out those stuff too.
Yeah, so I mean
for charity.
Bad. I rate McDonald's 100% ethical 0 out of 10. For me personally, it just drives me crazy. I hate it so much.
Same, I'll give it like a 2 just for trying.
Well, I mean, yeah.
They tried to do something that out of nothing.
I shouldn't have influenced your decision. I should have let you look at it first.
But no. I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying. But I'm still giving it a 2 because like even if it's like 0.0002% people are buying because of this tag, still a successful.
You'd be surprised.
campaign.
Like actually, people don't dive too much into it like we are doing right now. People be like, "Oh, 100% ethical. Let me just go for it. Let's do something good for the environment while like pumping gas like really high
Yeah.
in the car."
Well, I mean, like the thing is, like they're doing something. I think it's like they're doing something, and that's in itself good. It's just like the gap between what's actually being done and what's being claimed is
Too big.
It's either huge or like very difficult to measure, and like there shouldn't be a gap anyways. Like you should just what you say you're going to do, you should do.
It's hard to pinpoint that thing. That's the thing. That's why they get away with those.
Yeah.
So guys, this is the end to our episode 3, and we talked about so many things. And thanks to our special guest, Owen.
It's an honor to be here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming to the pod.
Thank you for having me at the pod.
Are we gonna see you anytime soon?
Maybe.
We'll wait. So guys, do subscribe. Leave a comment if you want us to have a discussion on any specific topic. We'll love that. And talk soon. And keep on podding.
Keep on podding.
Ciao, ciao.